going to be an interesting one, folks. It is. If this day is anything to go by, we are in for a belter. Absolutely. And I must apologise for keeping you all waiting. I was literally hovering over the go live button when everything went horribly wrong. And yes, it was at my end, folks. I can't blame anyone other than myself. So yeah, I'll take the hit for that one. It was my fault. We'll get a laugh about it when we join the main stream in a moment. But it's good to see everyone joining in today. And there's so many greens, so many blues in there. It's amazing. So a big thank you to all the members for joining the channel. Big thank you to all the mods for keeping it so cool in the safe space. And a big thank you to everyone else out there for making this what it is, the safe space. Get your crayons ready. Yes, get your finger paints ready. It's going to be a good one. We're going to be getting into some tech news. We're going to be getting into some weird criminal news. And when I say weird criminals, I mean the dumbest of criminals. How about the top 10 dumbest criminals of 2019 so far? Oh yes, indeed. That's the kind of stuff I'm talking about. So who we got coming in there? We've got Sid, I see Carol, Nana, Kristen, Lee as well. We've got Jason in there. See, Jason, I must have known you were going to be late, and subconsciously, that's why I'm late. We've got R-Top, good to see you, brother. Chloe, Austin, the wonderful Susie, all the way from Wales, who is now giving me Welsh lessons after I butchered her language the other day. I apologise to everyone in Wales. We've also got Rapture ready. Oh, brilliant. And I'm sure I love your accent as well, Rapture. I'm sure of it. So Nana, great to see you here, Nana. We've got Nana, we've got Kristen. All we need now is Nancy back, and we'll have the three wicked bitches of the chat room. We've got Legend, Aunt Nanny Granny, Austin, Germanus, Austin again, Michelle, I'm probably going over people twice here, Queen Goddess, yep, ZX81, brilliant, good to see you. Fred is back amongst the land of the safe spacers, yes he is. So, and he was also saying, quite funny, he was saying if you could join the channel with Bitcoin, he would. Unfortunately, YouTube don't have that option yet, but I am definitely going to download myself a Bitcoin wallet. There's a funny, almost horrible story about me and Bitcoin. It's a familiar tale. I remember getting offered Bitcoin when it was less than $1 a shot. And even Anne remembers me laughing, going, no, that's never going to be anything. You know, don't worry about Bitcoin, it's nothing. And then, of course, well, the rest is history. People became millionaires and billionaires off the back of it, right? And Michael, you're right. It is the hump day. That's very apt for today, I'm telling you. Logos, great to see you there. Sam. Who else we got up here? I'm bound to have missed out hundreds of people. Maybe not hundreds. We don't have hundreds, but you know what I mean. We've got Chris Tanner in there. Good to see you, Chris. Scrolling up further. Trying to find out where I got kicked out of the stream. Solitech. No, I wish I was rolling a big fatty. You see, if I had a big fatty, half of the stress I just went into would have been avoided. Roxy! I'm here, Roxy. Don't panic. I'm here. Never fear. Baker is near. Oh, how cheesy and corny is that, really, folks? That's bad, even by my standards. How you all doing out there? How are you all doing? So, yes, indeed. Now, I've just figured out I've got the wrong thing on my screen. Give me 2 minutes, folks. I need to sort something quickly here. It's one thing after another. I told you, it's one of those days, right? Right, hang on now. Look, I need to fix it from in here. Dang. Hang on. Yes, as you can see on the screen, no longer is it the polar bears. We're all to feel sorry for the penguins now. The penguins are dying, and it's all your fault. But that's not the browser I wanted on the screen. So give me 2 seconds, folks. Just 2 seconds, and we'll be there. There we go. Now I just need to... There we go. We're sorted. We're jamming. We're in. And yes, It is definitely hump day here today, and it's freezing, absolutely freezing outside. It's like drops of ice, torrential drops of ice. So I hope you're all doing good. I hope you're all sorted, all ready for a safe space that we can enjoy. Tonight on the show, maybe going to have a big guest, maybe not. No, we'll get into that in a moment as well. But what happened? Why am I so late? Well, over here in the UK, but when you're not one of the middle class or the elite, what they make you do is they make you have like a power meter. So you put a key in it every couple of days with £5, £10, whatever you want to put in it. And usually it gives you a warning when it's about to conk out, when it needs topping up. You guessed it. I slept through the warning and it conked out. So there we go, folks. My end, my fault. But we're here, we're live now, and I'm glad to see everyone in here today. I see Kenny's come in there since I mentioned all the names. And like I said, we've got a few stories to go over today. Some of the things will definitely have you shaking your head, wondering what the hell is going on in the world. Some of them will give you a little insight into the future, what's coming our way. And of course, there's going to be a lot of laughs along the way. And like I say, to wrap up today's safe space, we are going to have the top dumbest criminals of 2019 so far, because we know another day, another dumb criminal is amongst us. So who knows how much that list may change between now and the end of the year. And this wasn't a list compiled by the Kev Baker Show. So I'm thinking maybe in December time, what we'll do on some of the safe spaces is we'll go back over some of the criminals that we've looked at. And we'll also look at the new contenders, the fresh faces on the block, on the prison block. If you're going to carry on this crazy little pun that I'm trying to play out here. And we are going to choose our top 10 dumbest criminals. The KBS dumbest criminals. I think that could be good fun. Something light-hearted. I know, you shouldn't poke fun at the stupid out there. But when they're stupid enough to get themselves caught doing dumb crimes, I think that gives us the right to point the finger and have a little laugh, right? You know how we roll. So then, a shout out to Aberdeen, says Chloe. That's Chloe. Oh, I remember living in Aberdeen. Dang. This time of year, it's getting real cold in Aberdeen, folks. Like, as in, really cold. And Sid, he's just over the water. He's in Norway, and he's probably up to his armpits in snow right now. It's probably like minus 150. Okay, I'm exaggerating, right? But in reality, it should be that Scotland is the same temperature as Norway most of the year round if it wasn't for the Gulf Stream. So a big shout out to the Gulf Stream, yes. And somebody says, is that a racist bowl cut, Kev? I tell you what, right? Getting the haircut on Friday, folks, it's an absolute shambles. It's like my comfy day today. I've got my nice warm hoodie on. I've got the heating on. I've got my old trackies on. I tell you, what you see is what you get with me here, eh? Absolutely. And no, definitely, this is not the bowl cut, but we do have something racist coming up in just a moment. Something racist that you probably haven't thought of before. But before we get there, okay, I'm going to be over on TFR Live later on today, and I may be simulcasting. Now, the reason for that is, and the reason it's all up in the air is because I'm going to be talking to Dr. David Warmflash. And I know, how cool a name is that? It's like manna from heaven when a scientist has a name like Warmflash. But for anyone who hasn't heard his first visit to the show, it says David Warmflash is an astrobiologist and science writer. He received his MD from Tel Aviv University, Sackler School of Medicine, and has done postdoctoral work at Bendes University, the University of Pennsylvania, and the NASA Johnson Space Center, where he was part of NASA's first cohort of astrobiology training fellows. Now, he's written numerous articles covering a range of science topics, from the search for extraterrestrial life and space exploration to the origins of life, genetics, neuroscience, biotechnology, and the history of science. Now, David's articles have appeared in various publications, including Wired UK, Discover, Scientific American, Genetic Literacy Project, and Cricket Media. And he's been on the Kev Baker Show, which should be in anyone's bio as well. Yeah, Probably not. Throughout 2018, he did a blog post series on the emergence of ancient science for vision learning, covering thinkers from time. Now, many of these ancient pioneers of science also make an appearance in David's new book, Moon, An Illustrated History, From Ancient Myths to the Colonies of Tomorrow. Now, for the first time ever, I believe, if I've picked up on David correctly, for the first time ever, he's going to be giving away one of these books to one of you readers or one of you listeners out there to the show. But the reason I don't know if we're going to be able to do this show at all, let alone simulcast, is the fact that David is coming on to speak about something, in my opinion, which deserves the very best coverage that we can give it. Now, because we all have real lives and things going on in the background that take precedence over podcasts, I get that. I understand that. Well, David is having to do several things at once today, and he's going to be out in his car at the time of the show. Now, I'm going to check with him before the show to make sure the audio is okay. And if it is, I'm really excited to bring David on because we're going to be talking about something completely new. And to my knowledge, this is the first time that we're going to be hearing about something called Let's Rover the Moon in literally the whole of the Western world, the whole of the English-speaking world, because this is a new initiative that's been set up by some of the people who worked on the Space IL. It was the Israeli lander. Remember that went wrong, or so they said it went wrong? Well, some of the same people who were involved in that are now part of this new initiative. And David has been given permission to speak on behalf of this group to English-speaking countries. And like I say, this could be absolutely huge, new, big breaking news when it comes to space. Hence why I'm so reluctant to go off half-cocked. I want it to be the very best that it can be. And even if it means maybe having to do a totally impromptu show, and by that I mean purely a live stream at some point when David is able to sit down, really concentrate, really get into it, because I think this information deserves our very best effort. It's not very often the old KBS show gets to have the first person coming on to speak about any subject. So I really want this to go as well as it can, not just for KBS and for you listeners out there, but so that David himself can be the very best he can be when speaking to this new initiative called Let's Rover the Moon. And you can barely find anything about it, folks. Nothing. I'm going in blind because, like I say, this is the first time, literally, that we're going to be hearing about this in the English-speaking language. So I'm looking forward to that. I truly, truly am. And you know me when it comes to space and woo and all things like that. It's right up my alley. And like I say, he'll be giving away one of his books, An Illustrated History of the Moon, From the Ancient Myths to the Colonies of Tomorrow. I've seen it. It's well worth getting your hands on, folks. And if for nothing else, be here to try and get yourself a free copy of that book. So, talking of science, talking of all this kind of stuff, it's a technology story that I've got for us to kick off today. And this is something that we all need to pay attention to because maybe next year, maybe 5 years, maybe 10 years down the line, it's going to be very, very relevant to all of us here outside of China. Because imagine the next time you come to watch the Kev Baker show, and before you log into your computer or during the login process, imagine you have to show your face. Imagine you have to face scan to get into the computer, or more importantly, in this case, to get onto the internet. So yeah, we're going to China, the land of the bizarre social credit scoring system. And like I say, take heed. Anything that's going on in China right now, there's a good chance that we're going to get it over here. And you've all read the headline by now. It says Chinese citizens must pass a facial recognition test to use the internet as part of Beijing's social credit system. And it goes down here. We'll just read a few paragraphs, okay? I'm going to drop the link into the chat room as well. I'll put all the links in the description to the show so we don't have to waste too much time reading all of the stories we've got here on the Safe Space. It leaves you something to go and research for yourself if you're interested. So it says China has stepped up its internet censorship by demanding its citizens pass a facial recognition test to be able to use web services. Now, people who want to have the internet installed at home or on their phones must have their faces scanned by the Chinese authority to prove their identities, and this is according to a new regulation. And as we can see here, the rule, which will take place on December the 1st, is said to be part of the social credit system, which rates Chinese citizens based on their daily behavior. Now, Internet ID, whether it's facial recognition or in some other form or shape, I think we can all agree that that's probably something that will find its way from China over to here. Especially nowadays when in the UK here, every second day, there's some footballer, some sports star who claims to be getting racially abused on Twitter or Facebook. And I think this is a good example to use because from now on, I think it's very, very likely that we're going to have to not only, put our name to things, but literally prove we are who we say we are by logging in facially. Now, there's other reasons why they're going to, or how they will dress this up so that the people think, well, we really do need to do this because it's for our safety. It's for our own good. And with the rise of deep fakes as well coming into the mix, this is another thing. They're going to be wanting people to be identifiable right away so that they can tell if somebody's uploaded these pesky deep fakes. And we see all the hype with the deep fakes right now. So that's one other thing. Social media is the big one, so that you're basically responsible for anything you say on there. Now, don't get me wrong, because there is, in some ways, right now on the internet, you do have no idea who you're talking to, and people can have multiple identities that they hide behind. Now, I don't really have a problem with that. However, when it comes to bots, fake accounts, there is the whole marketing side of things and the whole business side of things to think of as well. Because with so many fake users, with so many AI bot accounts out there and botnets at work, it's hard to get a real kind of sense for how many people are hitting any specific website. And then that rolls on into selling ads, etc., etc. So I expect them to use this excuse as well. We need to really cut down on the amount of fake accounts, the amount of bot accounts that are out there. Of course, they'll tell us that it's to prevent acts of terrorism being, manufactured or planned online. You know how they roll, folks. But I tell you right now, this is coming to a place near you very, very soon. This is not just going to be China. China's the first. They're the place to look to for this stuff rolling out. But it's coming our way soon. It says at present, a Chinese citizen will need to show their ID card while applying for a landline or the internet. Now, the facial recognition test is set to verify that the ID card belongs to the applicant. And the directive was issued by the Chinese Ministry of Industry and Information Technology last month. The ministry claimed the move would help improve the country's internet security and combat terrorism. What'd I tell you? That's how they always dress these things up. And people who still do believe that there's terrorists lurking around every corner or hiding on the back end of every web page, they'll think this is a great idea. They'll think this is brilliant. This is going to protect us. This will keep us safer, right? Right? Okay. Chinese citizens are also banned from reselling their SIM cards by the regulation to prevent unregistered users from making calls on mobile phones. China has been building the world's largest facial recognition surveillance system, And the Big Brother style scheme is powered by hundreds of millions of AI street cameras aimed to identify any of the country's citizens within 3 seconds. So if you're out on a street in China, you can maintain your privacy and your anonymity for all of 3 seconds before you're going to be facially scanned, recognized, and your ID will be there for not all to see, but they'll know who you are. And there's another story here about these very same cameras. China invents super spy camera that can find someone in a crowd of thousands. It may be the most populated country in the world, but there's no disappearing into the crowd in China. And with everything that's going on in the news around China and Hong Kong right now, is it any wonder that these people in Hong Kong don't want to be, further taken into this Chinese system? One of many reasons I expect that the Hong Kong people are doing what they're doing right now, and hats off to them. Hats off to them. Now, I'll be demonetized right away for even saying that on the stream here, but that's the way I feel. But is this facial recognition really all it's cracked up to be? Is it? And in the UK, we still do have a problem in 2019 with some people who are very, very racist. They see colour everywhere they go, okay? And it's wrong. It's totally wrong. And you would think by now, even if we can't change the mindsets of people out there, then our technology, it's not going to be racist, is it? Well, in the UK, it very much is, because for all they say about facial recognition, get a load of this. The UK knew its passport AI was racist, and it used it anyway. So it says here, and this comes from Futurism, I'm not making this up, the UK government uses facial recognition AI to check travellers' photos when they apply for passports. So we can see right from that bit already, it's not going to be too far down the line before they can take our faces and have them all scanned, whether you've got a passport or not, so that we can get online, exactly the way that we see in China, right? It works just fine for white people, but like so many algorithms out there, it doesn't work well when presented with dark skin. Anti-black bias in technology is nothing new. Unfortunately, algorithms trained on biased data have often resulted in software that perpetuates prejudice. What's particularly troubling about this passport photo AI is that the British government knew about the problem, but decided it was okay to deploy the system anyway. Why am I not surprised? Newly released internal documents revealed that the same racial disparities occurred during testing, resulting in the system telling darker-skinned people that their pictures didn't comply with passport guidelines. User research was carried out in a wide range of ethnic groups and did identify that people with very light or very dark skin found it difficult to provide an acceptable passport photograph. However, the overall performance was judged sufficient to deploy. Yeah, it's no surprise, that the algorithms are picking up on the biases, the prejudice that obviously still exists here in Britain to this day, even in a small minority. But the government, doesn't really say much for them when they were quite happy to overlook this. Oh, well, it's only dark-skinned people that's going to be affected by this. This is fine, right? And yet they're the ones moaning and complaining anytime that somebody is racially abused online. I just find it a tad hypocritical, a tad funny, the double standards. I don't know what you would call it. But yeah, AI, racist as hell in the UK. If somebody applying for a passport is told that their photo isn't acceptable, they can still circumvent the AI system and submit it anyway. But they'll face warnings that it could interfere with their application. So even the user being able to override the selection is still creating a largely racialized disparity in experience between users. That comes from the University of Washington engineer Os Keys, and he was talking to New Scientist. And what this all boils down to, folks, if you want me to get geeky, it's all about the data sets that it's trained on. And I would imagine when it's been training to learn all about facial recognition, as neural networks do, the deep machine learning, it's really, really great on the data that it trains on. And what I'm thinking is that 90% of the photographs that were in the data sets were obviously your typically Caucasian, British looking kind of white guy or woman, whereas there was only maybe 10% or at least far less of people with dark skin. Now, whether it's proportionate to how that plays out in the real world in the UK, it's irrelevant to this. You train an AI to recognize mainly white faces, then don't be surprised when it has a problem trying to recognize anything else. It's only as good as the data you train it on. And the data that's been amassed over the years has been amassed by who? Well, governments that, as we can see, still have very much racial prejudices. We shouldn't be surprised when our children turn out like us. And it's exactly the same with an AI. Exactly the same. So I thought that was quite a funny one to go into. But we'll go and see what the chat room is saying right now, see what they're saying about the whole AI, social credit scoring. Would you be happy to show your face to come and watch the Kev Baker show? I have to show this ugly face after all, every day on camera. I think it's the least you can do. Log in with your face. I'm only joking, folks. I'm only joking. But what do you think? You looking forward to a social credit scoring system? I know I ain't. And I'll give the chat a little bit to catch up, but what I'll do is I'll scroll up and I'll see what people have been saying while I've been talking. Let's scroll up here. Infrared cameras don't care what you use to hide. Exactly, Lee. Exactly. And as well, you know, there's also the satellites that they use that basically our walk, our gait, as they call it, it's as unique as a fingerprint. And you add that to the facial recognition, and even if you've got the most cool of disguises on, your walk's going to get you. Are we going to have to start like a ministry of crazy walks? Going to the shop, just walking differently every day, maybe drag a leg one day, hop, skip, jump the next day. You know, get a loan of a wheelchair one day, go down that way. Let's keep the algorithm guessing is my point, folks. So Brett says, I think the government of China is going to have a big revolt against them in a few years. I think those people are so oppressed. I think it might be too late for them to really revolt against the government. I don't know what's going on in China. So weird. So weird. And Amanda says, what about beards? What about women who wear the burqa? What about balaclava wearers? Very, very, very good point, Amanda. And we keep it down. Gordon says he can't get work because of it. And this is going to become more of a problem, folks. You see it all the time now. People saying, you know, prospective employers, they looked at their social media, they weren't happy with it. Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that, Gordon. I hope you can get that sorted somehow, man, honestly. Mama Shaibul, big shout out to Mama Shaibul. Absolutely love everything you do for the show. So appreciated. And she says it's all for our protection. Absolutely. Fred, trust us. It's all for your safety. Take your pill and go back to sleep. But make sure you scan your face before you crash out. Maybe we'll have to face scan to get into bed soon, just to make sure it's us, right? Because our government loves us and it wants to keep our bed safe for us. Safer from what exactly, says Sam. Indeed. Sid says, here in Norway, most people last year had to go to the bank in person with passport to verify their identity. It's creeping in. Thank you for that, Sid. That's in Norway, folks. Like I say, it might not be exactly the way it looks in China, but they'll cherry pick some of the best elements of this. And you know, they don't want anyone acting anonymously. They want to know our every move, our every transaction. And in the near future, they want to know and control our every thought. That's where we're heading. The robots are coming. Run for the hills. That was American Prisoner. Fred says, just wait for the human resonance body scanner. It will recognize you by your unique frequency. Great point. I wouldn't be surprised if they've already got that. Protesters are also beta testing the methods to overcome the system. Umbrellas and spray paint. That's from Matthew. I seen somebody had painted themselves as Pepe the Frog earlier to try and get around it. Yep, said demonetized for China. You better believe it. Banks like to give back to you. Gets to the point where people need a gun to get their own money out. Crazy. You know, they used to laugh at old people for keeping money under the bed, right? They used to say it was the safest place to keep it, and people rolled their eyes and thought, oh no, these people are silly. Not so silly now. You ask the people in Greece where the best place to keep the money is. I don't think they'll tell you it's the bank. AI wants your DNA so that it can clone you. That was Tessa. We've also got my Amiga is racist against PCs. Racist AI. If the AI is racist, it's because they programmed it to be that way. Yep, not intentionally though. It can be an effect of the data that it trains on. It's like a university. It was a hospital over in America. They were trying to get around this thing where over the years they had mainly employed men for the top jobs at the hospital. And they thought, well, we'll get the AI involved, and they trained it on all of the data, all of the previous applicants they'd had, both successful and unsuccessful. And then when it came to, assigning the jobs after interviews, what did the AI do? It acted the same way as the hospital always did. It gave like 90% of the jobs to men. Why? Because it learnt from the data, and that was in the data. You see, you may think a pile of data is just that, just a pile of data, but there's things contained in there, patterns that you don't even recognize. Humans can't. And that's where the AI and deep learning in particular, it's so priceless to these people. It really is. Scrolling down again. No. No, hang on, folks. I'll be back in a second. There we go. It's the AI calling. Yeah, it was the AI calling me. Baker, stop being so damn prejudiced. Stop being racist against the AI. Stop having a go at our human creators and the data that they feed us. Yeah, it's not my fault. Let's see what other people are saying here. Var Don Guerrero. I love that name. And he's asking Sid, he needs a brief lesson how to get the Discord. Just go to Discord, get yourself an ID, and then email me over at kbsdiscord@protonmail.com. That's kbsdiscord@protonmail.com. So yeah, I thought that was quite cool, quite funny. I know you shouldn't laugh at racism. It's not a funny matter. Not funny at all. I still can't get over the fact that we're still dealing with racism in this day and age. But when the AI that they tell us is all singing, all dancing, and is going to... just got a message from somebody there. Sorry, totally knocked me off track. As you can tell, I got a phone call on Skype as well just a moment ago. So yeah, that's kind of... it shorted my head. It was Dr. David Warmflash. Okay, now, as much as I love Dr. David Warmflash, I'm in the safe space. We can't come out of the safe space. We're in the safe space, Annie. Jennifer's asking if I've seen any of the recent Antarctica videos. Yeah, I've seen some of the Antarctica floating around some of the stuff. I looked at the face that time. Some of the other stuff, I must admit, I don't know. What I've seen, it hasn't really blown me away, but that's just me, and I've not seen all of it. So Antarctica's always going to be a place that's really, really interesting. I'll check it out when you upload it, Jennifer. I'll certainly be doing that. I know a lot of the audience, they're really, really into the South Pole, Antarctica. And I'm just worried about those little penguins. It's the penguins that are going to be suffering. Forget the polar bears, folks. If we don't go the way of the Mayans, remember, did you all listen to the KBS show last night? This is their latest kind of attempt to scare us into believing that the whole global warming thing's real. They were talking about how the Mayans just disappeared overnight. Their culture gone, those people just away. And what reason did they put it down to? You guessed it. The Mayans caused their own demise by causing their own climate change. I'm not joking, folks. It was in the Daily Mail. And if that wasn't enough to scare people, then today they're going for the full heartstrings approach. And they're telling us it's those pesky penguins now if we don't mend our ways and we bend down it. If we don't bend down at the altar of Greta, then the penguins, our friends the penguins, they're going to be no more. No more. They'll even probably get rid of tuxedos as well. Maybe they'll go extinct into the bargain. Who knows? So yeah, that's the craziness that's coming out there. Seen this headline here, the Nobel Physics Prize groundbreaking win for planets and the Big Bang. Only reason I bring that up is because I had Brian Keating on. You see, I even got a kiss during the stream. My word, not a shoe. Bye, Anne. Bye. Bye. Peace and quiet tonight, folks. Anne's on night shift. Party at mine. I'm only joking, right? But yeah, the only reason I pulled this up was because a cosmologist. I'm only joking. Shoe incoming. Because a cosmologist has been amongst some of the winners here. And of course, my friend Brian Keating didn't win a Nobel Prize, but he's got a book out called Losing the Nobel Prize. So yeah, might take a look at that later on when we're getting ready for Dr. Warmflash to join us on the show. But where I want to go next is, in fact, am I wanting to go there next? I want to go there. Do we start to slip off into the craziness? I think it might be time to start slipping off into the craziness. What time are we on? 7:15. And I've got to remember, I started late. I get that because of all my technical issues I had going on here. But all of that talk of social credit scoring and stuff like that. See, this is why it's good to be in the safe space, right? None of that affects us in here. But at the same time, it's just not got that pizzazz. It's not got that fun about it. It's not got that safe space kind of comedy element to it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to shove on the tunes. I'm going to get a drink of my Red Bull, and I'm going to see where we're going next. Where we go, only I know, and even I don't know yet. And no, I'm not getting a big fatty today, folks. Absolutely no herbal companions, nothing. Look at the eyes. Perfectly white. You can tell when I've not had a herbal companion. So if you would like to support the stream, please remember you can have super chats. And I would really appreciate if you could join the channel as well, become a member. Help us to unlock even more new emojis along the way. And this Sunday coming up, keep an eye on my YouTube tomorrow. I'll be putting out a link for the members for the members only live stream this weekend. And it'll be on Sunday afternoon, Sunday evening time if you're here in the UK. I hope you can all make it there. And Var Don Guerrero. I've still got the link, dude. Loftus Hall. And I think we'll probably have time to go to that today. So how does that sound, Var Don Guerrero? I love that name. That's cool. So give me 30 seconds and we're going to get right back into it. Get ready. This is going to get weird. It's going to get wacky. But you know me. It's going to get fun, right? Veltman. Those three words strung together in that manner in this chat room just doesn't go. Nobody's trusting their plan in here. We don't do plans in here. Is that 17th letter of the alphabet thing? Is that still going? Is it? Is there mass arrests just around the corner? I bet there is. I bet somebody's getting arrested. Who's getting taken to Gitmo this week? Come on. Come on. Indeedy, yes indeed. So as you can see here, I wasn't making it up. It's the penguins. We're all killing the penguins. I like penguins, man. Don't do this to me. You all better mend your ways out there. You all better start eating insect pizza. Start eating the babies. Because if we don't start eating the babies, the penguins are getting it. Can't be having that, right? The hell's happened to the world? When did they get this crazy? So now we're going to enter the phase of the safe space where we take a look at some of the things going on around the world that made us set up the safe space in the first place. It's getting crazy out there. It's getting crazier. And you wonder why people end up being confused and people like me question where the hell we're going in the world and that whole thing that I sometimes come back to. When did this become something? When did this even start? Whose idea was this and why? Okay, the next story we're going to look at, it boggled my mind. I had to read it a couple of times, the headline, just to make sure it was going in my thick dome correctly. I thought my neural networks were just kind of, not firing right here today. Something's going wrong somewhere. But no, this really is a thing. And if you work in the city of Portland, and I know people in Portland, around Portland, up in Oregon. Clyde Lewis, one of my favoritist ever radio hosts, Ground Zero, he's up in Portland. And you would think, looking at the people, the way the people think there, you'd think this is quite a cool place to be. But then there's another side to it where it's just like crazily progressive. And then you see all the Antifa stuff going on and all the protests and everything else. And, when you've got a city council and a local authority or local government, whatever name you want to put on it, that employs things like this, then I think we can see what's really going on in Portland. And as opposed to me wanting to move there, I don't think that's my number one location to come to the US anymore, because it says Portland is banning urinals in its $195 million gender-neutral remodeling of the government building. Now, unless men have been remodeled and we do toilets the different way, I don't see the point in this, okay? I do not see the point in this. They are banning urinals because, hey, goodness forbid we actually offend somebody who doesn't have the correct biological parts to take a wee standing up, right? All of us pesky men, we must suffer. We must sit down because I would say there's a large group of people that are outraged at the convenience for men, the way that we can just whack our tackle out, stand up and do it in a urinal the way we've been doing it forever, right? Little did I know that there was a huge amount of people out there, but there's not, who complain about this kind of thing. So, as opposed to just letting men be men and women be women and have toilets the way they've always been, no. The Portland pandering government have decided, here's a good chance for us to virtue signal to all of these people out there who love to see this kind of progressive thinking. Says here, the city of Portland has banned urinals. They've banned them. They're dangerous. Don't be bringing urinals to work with you. The last time some bloke brought a urinal to work, all shit went wrong. Don't ever be taking a number 2 in a urinal, folks. That's not a good thing to be doing. But it says here, they banned urinals in the $195 million remodel of the Portland building, which houses administrative offices for the city. Now, while urinals use less water than toilets, something that would go a long way to saving our penguin friends, they are a relic of a bygone era when men and women were recognised as being biologically different. What? There's a sentence I would never thought I'd have read that. While urinals use less water than toilets, they're a relic of a bygone era when men were men and women were women, and they were recognised as being biologically different. Now, I get it. There's some men out there who swear to be, taking periods and having period pains and all the rest of it. And there's also some women out there who absolutely crave to have a testes or a set of testes of their own. But where does this end, folks? I honestly thought this was like some kind of website from Monty Python when I was reading it earlier on, but it's not. It says a spokeswoman. Of course it was a spokeswoman. You wouldn't have a man up there to talk about this kind of thing, right? Told NBC affiliate KGW News that she could not estimate how much it will cost to remove the urinals, which have been a feature in the building's construct since 1982. Chief Administrative Officer Tom Reinhardt explained that the urinal ban, in an email to employees last February. So this is how they explain it away, okay? Are you ready? Get the dog paint, get the finger paint out, get ready for this. What if you're gender neutral? What if you classify yourself as a urinal? Now, there's a good point, Vardon. A very good point indeed. What about these people that can identify as anything? We can all identify as anything. So if you do identify as a urinal, a receptacle for warm, wet water, then are you automatically then banned from Portland's government building? Let's see what it says here. It says, we will continue to have gender-specific, male and female, multi-stall restrooms that are readily available to any employee that prefers to use one. But there will be no urinals in any restroom in the building. This will give us flexibility we need for any future changes in signage. Yes, because there is no end to the Gender Olympics that's been played out right now, right? No sign is too permanent because we just don't know what's going to be a thing and what's going to be, socially acceptable next week. This is crazy, folks. According to KGW, the building will have gender-neutral, multi-stall bathrooms intended to be used by men and women together. Oh, so it's going to be group bathroom sharing? I know, but it sounds dodgy, okay? These free-for-all restrooms, a dream come true for perverts, will be on the 1st, 3rd and 15th floors. Every floor will have at least one bathroom open to any gender. In most cases, a single-stall restroom. Throughout the building, there will be 42 all-user stalls and 104 sex-specific stalls. And I ask you folks, when did this even become a problem? Are they trying to tell us there was such an outcry, such a demand for all of this refurbishment to be done in the toilets that it can justify being part of this $195 million makeover that they're having? And I get it. They're not spending all of that on the toilets. I get it. Probably just most of it, right? I'm only joking. But do you see how there was no problem in the first place? No problem. Nobody beating down the door of Portland government to say this is a disgrace. I don't feel safe going to a toilet that's clearly marked to cater for the the biological sex that I quite obviously am, whether it's a man or a woman. No, no, no. We need this rectified. We need this sorting. Not only that, we just need to outright ban the urinal because, we can't have any of these bygone relics of times gone by when we were biologically different. I hate to point out the obvious to the people that are like coming up with this, but we're still biologically different. I don't care if you identify as a traffic cone, a flower pot, or a urinal itself. Biologically, you're not a traffic cone. Biologically, you're not a urinal. Biologically, you're a man or a woman. And I'm sorry if you've been confused over the years, folks. I'm really sorry if something's led to you identifying as something you maybe not be, and have at it. Have at it. But really, should everyone be made to change their ways because of this little minority out there that, in my opinion, were never even saying this was a problem in the first place? Where does it end? Where does it end? Honestly, talk about crazy. So Reinhardt framed the urinal ban as a way to remove arbitrary barriers. What about these little devices that girls can have so they can stand up and it's like a little, just like a little kind of a little spout? You don't have to use your imagination too much, but it allows them to stand up and act and do the toilet the same way as a biological man would. So I don't see the problem here. And does it lead to the whole perverts and toilets thing? Well, my opinion is yes. And call me old-fashioned, because just like the urinal, I too am a relic of bygone times. Yes, this beard isn't just for show. In fact, it is my badge of toxic honour. When will they ban the facial hair? Because, God forbid, some people who identify as men nowadays, guess what? They don't grow facial hair because biologically they're a lady. So how long is it going to be until my beard offends somebody? Or it doesn't even need to offend somebody. Just the idea that it could offend somebody that can't grow a beard, maybe that will be enough to get rid of my beard. Well, I tell you this now, my beard is the line in the sand, folks. If they come for my beards, you can take my urinals, but never take my beard, right? Oh, dearie, dearie me, what are people saying? Yes, Jennifer, exactly. It's not difficult. It's XX or XY. It's all down to chromosomes. Now, what you identify after that, have at it. If you want to be the traffic cone, you go for it, girl, boy, he, she, they, it. I don't know how many different pronouns I need to use nowadays. Or just Mr. Cone. I don't know. 2 gender only. Ian M. Banks, berserk. Look, dude. You have to wag that willy to get in. Exactly. So we have to show our crotch to get the door to open. That wouldn't surprise me. Crotch recognition. Yes, that'll be the next thing. Scrotal recognition. Ban that man, he's got a scrotum. Attack him, attack him. All scrotums must be attacked anytime they're identified. Delboy says 100% bang on. Thank you, brother. Beard's been offending people for years. No more sock in the Levi's. Kev, could you be a bearded lady and not telling it? I could be, Amanda. Some days, man, I feel like a woman. Bit of Shania Twain going on. Bit of that. No. I find it repulsive to even consider and entertain the thought of identifying as a woman. I love women, biologically different ones to me. I'm just a man. I'm a relic of a bygone age, as this article would say. So yeah, I knew this would trigger people. But on a more serious note from this, there was another story came up the other day. And I want to share that with you. And it's all joking aside for a moment of just a little bit of seriousness on what is a serious subject, okay? And folks, you know how I roll. I ain't making fun specifically of any person out there, any adult, whatever they decide to do. You know my feelings on this. They can be whatever the hell they want to be. But when it comes to things like this, I would imagine if you were to speak to most people who, on the face of it, you would think this would be an issue to, this would affect, they are going to be rolling their eyes just as much as us. Because like I say, this was never a problem that needed fixing in the first place, okay? Never a problem. There's an agenda here, folks. We all know it. We all see it. And that's what takes me to the next thing. And I need to dig up the link because I didn't know it was going to come up today. But I think it's important to show you that this agenda can have horrible consequences. I'll be right back. Mr. Stoneley, you are in a safe space, my friend. We have the female toilets over to the left. We have the male toilets over to the right. Please use the appropriate bathrooms. And if either of these offend you, or if any of the gender-specific little signs on the door offends you, I suggest to you, my good friends, that this safe space, it's not for you. Valley, if the circumstances dictate, I'll go in a sink. I'd have to go in a bottle. Us dudes go anywhere. We're like tomcats. We don't care. We need something that we can, aim against the back of the wall. We're animals. We're toxic. We're relics of that bygone era. Sidvich, if you're taking a 5 minutes laugh break, my job here today is done. All I can ever attempt to do is leave you people with a smile on your face, or at least something to think about. Never dare tell you what to think. Never dare force any of my crazy badass opinions on you. But to hear laughter in the safe space, to see people talking, happy, doing things that we used to do, from that bygone era. Man oh man, woman oh woman, it oh that, they oh they. I am a happy, happy, happy boy, girl, he, she, I don't know. So why do I say this gets a little bit more serious? Because the agenda behind it, what we're seeing going on, namely in schools, is where there's a real problem. Real problem. And I've said it before, I'll say it again. You're an adult, whatever, age they put on being an adult in whatever country you're in. We can argue over that. But once you are an adult and you decide to do whatever the hell you're doing, if you're not hurting any other people, then you have at it. Absolutely. But leave the kids alone. Please leave the kids alone. And in recent times, because of all the talk of transitioning and, Billy one day being quite acceptable if he's Jilly the next, and almost encouraging this future lifestyle choice, confusing children. What we've seen is, predictably, a massive explosion of younger people who have opted to go down this road, to transition from one biological sex into a chemically enhanced imitation of the other sex that they think they want to be. I think when I heard David Icke talking about this, it was something like 300, 400, maybe 500% increase in the amount of children going to the doctor to seek help with this. So has it always been in children? Have they always just, they've never had the information before? And and this is a good thing? Or could it be like we've always said here on the show with the guys, Scott, Joe, everyone else that's been on? Are they confusing people? The next headline would suggest to me that they have been confusing people, and more on from that. I think it's criminal what is happening to our kids in schools right now, because we're now left in a situation where hundreds of young trans people are seeking help to return to their original sex. A woman who detransitioned in 2018 says there are many people who have had gender reassignment surgery who wish they hadn't. And this is going to become more and more of a thing in the years that come, folks, for a good few years yet. I'm going to play this clip here. Hopefully we won't get a copyright strike on it, but this is the serious side of what we're talking about here, and the effects of the mind control and the brainwashing and the propaganda that's been indoctrinated into our children right now.
I was approached by a young woman with a beard, and she hugged me and said, I'm a detransitioned woman as well, I've just stopped taking testosterone. And after that I felt like I had to do something. I'm hearing from hundreds of people, and I think some of the common characteristics are they tend to be around their mid-20s. They're mostly female and mostly same-sex attracted, most are lesbians.
Yeah, there we go, folks. There we go. Like I say, don't really like to get too serious on the safe space, but hundreds of these young people who have been brainwashed into thinking there might be something they're not, or for whatever reason, it obviously isn't the right reasons if afterwards they're regretting it and having to seek help to go back to the way they were originally. And that's why, for me, this is a form of child abuse. That's how I see it. It might not be popular with some people out there, but I'm not here to be popular. I'm only here to give you my honest opinion. And what's my honest opinion in the end of the day? It's nothing. It's irrelevant. We've all got our own opinion on these things. But when it comes to the kids, you best leave the kids alone, because that's where you're going too far. And we know it's all part of this bigger agenda. We truly, truly do. And eventually, way down the line, when they have the AI controlling all of us and we're all not even thinking for ourselves, I'm pretty sure that they would love us to be in a society where we don't reproduce the way that we do now. Even reproduction. Man, woman has a 9-month pregnancy, give or take, baby born. No, that, my friends, will be the next relic of a bygone era. Couldn't make it up. Could not make it up. So yeah, see what the people are saying in here. Gives all new expression to grow up here. Absolutely, Nana. Women are coming more or less attractive, what I see going on. Oh, I see lots of attractive ladies around. The toxic beard in me sees lots of them everywhere. Medicare Sex Change. It should be a new band name. Sam, I hope you got your invite to the Discord server. Be great to see you in there. Children should not be making these decisions. Wait until you're older and more wise. Precisely. Why can't we just leave kids to be kids? It's harder and harder for children to be children nowadays anyway, the way that we used to be, outside playing. Summer holidays would come along, and how many hours really would you be in the house? I think you'd be out with your friends or out doing something way more often than you'd be in the house. And I'm not criticising the way the world's changed and you've got kids more and more on the consoles and only connecting digitally. I'm not getting into that. It's what's going on to them, or what's getting into them in the schools. As a parent, there's a big trust factor there. You're handing your child over, something you love more than anything in the world, and you're handing it over to people every day, 5 days a week, from the age of 5 onwards, and there's got to be a level of trust there. In the end of the day, it's the only scenario I can think of where you go to a building and literally hand your children over to strangers who you don't know for 6-7 hours a day, and then go back and get them and rarely question what's going on inside. Under any other circumstance other than a school or an education system, what the hell would that be all about? Go and drop your children off with a bunch of strangers, a bunch of adults that want to hang about with children all day? What's that all about? And they're breaking that trust. Now, I wasn't in a position to homeschool, but if I had have been, you better believe I would have. Not that I think all teachers are bad, but they are there to push the agenda for other people. And do teachers know what it is they're pushing and why they're pushing it? Absolutely not. They're just a tool to be used to open and get into and program the minds of our most precious, our young people. So yeah, really, really pretty grim. Pretty grim. So let's shift gears now and let's get in to some crazy criminals. But before we get to crazy criminals, how about some crazy cops? Talk about the world of overreaction when we see the next story, right? I want you to look at this picture and I want you to think to yourself, at what point did they think this was a realistic threat? Obviously, toy gun prompts a lockdown of 3 Florida campuses. Look at it, folks. Look at it. It's a ridiculous toy gun. But that's enough in the land of the free, home of the brave, right? Wow. Welcome to the United States of hysteria. A toy gun that would have been easy to identify as... Oh, no! No way! Wait a minute. Am I going mad here? Is it something about this website? Do they love this, phrase? Welcome to the United States of hysteria. A toy gun that would have been easy to identify as such in a bygone era. They like their bygones, don't they? When more kids were allowed to play with such things, prompted law enforcement to lock down not 1, not 2, but 3 different college campuses on Thursday. A security alert which resulted in 3 college campuses in Florida going on lockdown was later revealed to be a false alarm, involving a brightly coloured toy gun. The alarm was raised after a student at Florida Atlantic University reported seeing a man with a rifle on campus on the evening of Thursday, October the 3rd. And the student said that the man walked towards her whilst she was in her car and pointed a gun at her. So the incident happened at night. So that has to be taken into account, even at night, folks, even at night, unless it was like a dimly lit area, in fact, had no street lighting, because any light at all is going to shine off this. It's going to look really plastic. It's going to look really naff. And it's going to look nothing like a real gun. Unless you've been brainwashed into thinking that there's bad men everywhere going to lurk around from every parked car. Every parking lot may have one of these dangerous men lurking there. He might even have one of those highly offensive beards on him as well. So the incident happened at night, yep. Still, she was leaving a parking or a campus parking lot, so it's safe to assume that the lighting was decent. The other thing that needs to be taken into account is the fact that the gun didn't look anything like a real firearm. So after clearing the scene at the Davie College area, a Davie police officer located an individual with this toy gun walking on Sterling Road. They both matched the description given by the witness. So if the witness gave the description that it was like a plastic gun with like an orange barrel, a green kind of shoulder mounting, yellow handle. Really? Come on. And we take a look usually at ridiculous, dumb criminals. Oh, I'm sorry, Davie Police. And I can say this confidently because I'll never be in Davie. You'll never get your own back on me. But you lot are absolutely bat crap crazy. If this is the way that he's acted to this here. And look at them all standing around it. You can picture them all there. Hoo-ha! Look at us, we got it. We nailed this criminal. They probably weren't even having a laugh about it. So it says the thing looks like it was made out of Play-Doh Fun Factory. This kind of panic and nonsensical waste of law enforcement time is brought to you by the anti-gun liberals who know nothing about guns. Excuse me. But continue to scream assault weapons every time they get the chance, or every chance they get, just to terrorize the public. Congratulations, it worked. There was also a time in America when we didn't sanitize our children's play experience with political correctness. Those children grew up with basic adult coping skills, like, just saying, being able to identify a gun. In the effort to turn out PC automatons, public education has succeeded in creating a generation of easy-to-scare idiots. And wait until the current generation of young kids hit adulthood after having been convinced by their elders and an unhinged Swedish teenager that the weather is going to kill them. The politics of emotion, which are the only politics that liberals have, only work when the emotions are kept high. There are negative consequences to that. Sadly, consequences have also been tossed by the wayside in the way that we educate and bring up children. This should go swimmingly. Yes, indeed. So there we have it, folks. This year sparked a lockdown, and not one, not two, but 3 universities. Can you believe it? As they say over in the UK sometimes, and I would imagine they say this elsewhere around the world, there are some things that only ever happen in America. John Fuller in the chat room. He's going to start identifying as a chimpanzee so that he can start throwing his smelly stuff everywhere. Not in the safe space, John. Not in the safe space. Now, Joanna, I get your point. 3D printers make plastic guns and they shoot real bullets. But my counter to that would be, so do we now then have to ban all toy guns? And how many 3D printed guns have been used in crimes? And that's a genuine question. Genuine question. And we can make now 3D printed replicas of anything. Does it mean we have to ban everything? Or could it just be that there's a problem with people not being able to identify what's real from what's not? And more on from that, can we blame the media for making people believe that there are people with guns going to kill them every day? Maybe that might be the mindset that we have to try and correct. There we go. So then, let me come back to you now, and we are going to get into the world's dumbest criminals. I need a sound effect for that. I really do need a sound effect for it. The white hats isn't good. I could have the white hats on. Yeah, the white hats. That's the white hat music. Why'd I call it that? Simply because that's what YouTube calls it. It's called white hats. No mystery here, folks. No mystery here. But yeah, I got this sent through the Discord server. And as opposed to me looking for random dumb criminals, here we have a list that's already compiled. So let's get into this here. It says the 10 worst or world's dumbest criminals. Every criminal seems to be a mastermind, and you think that he sets all the strategy before going on with his crime. How sexist! How terribly sexist, you know? Is crime. What if he doesn't identify as a he that day? But here I'm going to introduce you to these world's dumbest criminals who were unplanned, and I don't know what they were thinking in their tiny minds while robbing. Now there's nothing, or there can be nothing funnier than these dumb criminals who stepped in without knowing a way to step out properly. Here you can eat out the stories of the week of these. Here you can eat out the stories of these world's dumbest criminals and check out how weak their IQ levels were. Are we ready, folks? Are we ready? Coming in at number 1 It is Albert Bailey, one of the stupid criminals. So it says here, there is no doubt that this criminal, Albert Bailey, is one of the world's dumbest criminals. This man and his partner planned to accomplish a mission that was for a bank robbing. In this case, it seems that they didn't plan anything or haven't done any stealing before, even for an ice cream. So there he is there. So here comes the funniest moment. These two robbers called the bank before they entered it. And before they entered it, that they are coming to rob it. They must have informed them that they are coming to rob it. I mean, what could be funnier than this incident where all the bank's employees know that the robber is on the way and they have enough time to call the cops? So this incident took place in Connecticut, and according to these thieves, they wanted the bank, so bank got threatened, they warned the bank, so the bank got threatened and collected the money from these two robbers in advance. What a sensible mind of these two talented robbers. After a few minutes, Bailey sent his partner into the bank with a note to tell them that these are the same robbers who just called. Later, the police handled all the situation, and Bailey and his partner, among these world's dumbest criminals, got arrested and charged with first-degree robbery. And they both got 9 years up their jacksy. Oh, not the only thing he would have got up there during his 9 years, I'm telling you. So next up, we have this guy here. He's looking like he's got potential. He's coming in. If I had to look at like a lineup of 100 people and this cat was in there, I'd have picked him out right away. I'd have gone, it's him. He's done something daft. So, this one here, Darren Kimpton, burglar found the perfect house for robbery. A criminal's main aim is to find the perfect spot in which he can execute his robbery planning. And the same time this dumbest criminal did. I don't know who wrote this article, but along with my crap reading, it makes it absolutely horrendous, right? Instead of finding the right house to rob, this man invaded a house full of cops. Not going well, is it? And that's how he handed over himself to police without any trouble. The man is named Mr. Kimpton, and he was from Abington, Northampton, and he entered the house at night that was already burgled earlier that night. So he's entered a house to burgle it. Only problem is, somebody got there before him, and the police were there. So there were police officers for investigation purposes at the same time as Kimpton broke in. Now, of course, he tried to run immediately, but it was not that easy. He was caught on the spot. The burglary was unsuccessful, and from that time he comes as one of the world's dumbest criminals. Before entering the police house, he tried to invade another house, but unsuccessfully, and he left marks of his blood on the window. So, the cops easily linked him to that case too, and now you can imagine the face of this dumbest criminal at the time of catching by the cops. Is that dumb, or was that just pure bad luck? You know, I'm sure he didn't plan to go in there. He didn't think to himself, I'm going to find somewhere that's got cops in it. I don't know, maybe you've been hard done by, Mr. Kimpton. I don't know. So, unknown, a robber hands over his gun instead of the bag. This one also comes from these world's dumbest criminals, probably due to being less present at the time of the robbery. Yeah, that's right. This dumb man entered a bank and then he threatened the target with a real gun. This robber was with a gun and a bag in the other hand. This low-minded person told the target to fill up the bag with 700,000 large. Now, instead of giving him the bag, this douche handed over the gun to the target. And probably he was under pressure because robbing a bank, robbing out a blank is not like eating cake. Now do you see where the problems with this article comes, folks? This stressful situation, or the stressful situation, made this mistake in a few seconds. And after a few seconds, the robber realised his mistake. But that was too late for him. Unlike the robber, the worker was in full presence of mind. He took full advantage of the situation by pointing the gun straight at the robber's face. Now, luckily, the robber ran away without money, but even then, he was not empty-handed as he pedalled off an employee's bicycle, but the bank saved itself. So he didn't leave empty-handed. The dude at least got a bike for his trouble. Probably not the 700 large that he was hoping for. You'd be lucky if he probably got $7 for it in some kind of like second-hand store, but still, at least he got something, right? Okay, now this one here, I don't care what this cat's done. This whole like blonde hair and black eyebrow look, gents, it's not a winner, and ladies, it's definitely not a winner. One of the most important parts, so it says here, Dennis Hawkins, he failed to properly conceal his identity. Don't worry, I'll try and correct the grammar as we go along in the article. One of the most important parts of doing a robbery is to hide your real identity or real face and go ahead with a fake look that no one can identify. But this man is one of the world's dumbest criminals who took help of a fake identity but didn't use it wisely. He needed a good disguise so no one doubts his identity. But Mr. Hawkins seemed weak in hiding his real face and placed a blonde wig, fake breasts, and clown pants on. What a pair. No idea why it says what a pair. So this look got easy for police to find out the real face that he is Mr. Hawkins, who tried to fool others. But he was just fooling himself that he was looking like a woman. Man, feel like a woman. You better be very careful here. I mean, maybe he does actually identify as a woman. So can we call him a dumb criminal? Because we know once you do that whole transition thing, no matter how ridiculous it may seem, they get a get out of jail free card. In fact, they get a get into the opposite sex jail card. That's what they get. So best reserved judgment on this guy. Only joking. Colombian criminals. The robbers prepared donkey as their vehicle. Well, I can tell you right now before even getting into this, not that I've ever planned many robberies or like doing over a bank or anything, but even I, with my non-criminal mind, can see there's going to be a problem if your getaway vehicle's like an ass. Literally, you're using an ass to get away from this place, right? This robbery was the height of dumbness. So I have to put these criminals among the world's dumbest criminals. And also they deserve a trophy for pretending. What? They also deserve a trophy. Pretend with dumb I have no idea who wrote this. No idea. Robbers always look for the secure way so that they can get away from the target place ASAP. But these robbers were out of mind. And it seems like they were not in a hurry to get away with the stolen luxury. These robbers underestimated the most important aspect as the least important. And guess what? They did the robbery successfully, but their getaway vehicle was a 10-year-old donkey and not any car or bike, but a donkey. Yeah, you already told us that. Even the donkey was not their own. But that makes it funnier. Not only did they use a donkey, but they stole a donkey, right? They kidnapped it and loaded it with robbery with the loot on the back of the donkey. In the robbery, there was food and rum that they loaded and planned to escape. Unfortunately, the donkey was wiser than these two closed-minded and stupid criminals, and he started making a noise. Listening to the noise, ee-aw, ee-aw, sounds like a police car. Maybe a donkey is like the animal kingdom's form of police. Ee-aw, ee-aw. Bad. I know. So listening to the noise, the officers came and identified the entire situation. Do they like have donkey whisperers in Colombia? Is that what we're saying here? Damn, we need to get like donkey whisperers on the force. Meanwhile, robbers ran away, leaving the donkey behind and all the stolen food and rum. Oh, come on, everyone knows. No donkey gets left behind, man. You don't want to make an ass of the situation by leaving a donkey behind, do you? Oh, look at the eyes on this one. Dang. I don't care what you've done, mate. I'm actually quite scared to talk about you now. Holy shimoly. What have we getting here? Zachary Tentoni, a robber, makes it easy for cops by his certificates. What certificate has he got? That he's a wide-mouthed frog? I don't know, a wide-eyed frog? When it comes to robbery, nothing should be left behind, not even a fingerprint. But this robber didn't know about this simple rule, and he left behind his certificates as a great proof of his identity. So I put him among the world's dumbest criminals because he was trying to be a crook without knowing the rules. This criminal makes life easy for the police to catch him in a blink. Now, I would like to think that guy is using the word blink there because this guy doesn't look like he can blink. Or have we got it wrong? Is he just like trying to fool the facial recognition? If he's thinking, if I just stare at it like this, they'll never catch me when I walk down the street. Oh, man. So the robber grabbed the wallet from a woman and he ran away. But he left his important things behind. Yeah, like his bloody eyelids. And that was his birth certificate. The wallet was full with $40 in cash. Must be a small wallet. Must be a really small wallet. You wouldn't want it to be full with $40, right? What can you get with $40 in America these days? But the robber dropped his two most important things. His birth certificate and his mother's letter. Yeah, I can see a bit of the Norman Bates in him. Absolutely. These two proofs were enough to identify Norman Bates from Southington, Connecticut. And in no time, police caught up with him and identified the situation, even after his pretending to be somebody else. You see? That's what he's doing. He's like, I'm telling you, I'm Kermit the Frog, goddammit. I know I don't look like Kermit the Frog, I'm not green enough, but I identify as Kermit the Frog. Unknown, set beer trap for 19 criminals. It is said that you have to offer something delicious to your opponent to set up the trap. And the same trap was used by the Derbyshire police to catch criminals. Police caught 19 criminals by offering a crate of beer to each of them. Oh my goodness. These cops were undercover at the time, and to take advantage of it, they spread the news of winning a crate of full beer. Now, they also informed that an individual has to contact the company, and that was the time when a rat entered the trap, seeing the cheese. So 19 of the criminals were called the contact, and they all set up a place to collect their winnings in the form of a crate of beer. Now, after reaching the spot, there was no crate or any offer. There were police officers over waiting to catch these bad fellas. These fellas deserve being in the list of world's dumbest criminals who easily got into the trap and were arrested because of their foolish brains and succeeded, or they were unsuccessful. The cops were successful in the operation named Rocky. So yeah, heard of that kind of thing before where they set up like a quiz show. I think it was Who Wants to Be a Millionaire was one of the ones they done in the UK, and they get a chance to come and win the £1 million. And what they do is they find people that have outstanding warrants and they invite them to be the contestant that day. And of course, there's no Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. There's only a set of handcuffs and usually a court case immediately after it. So Ruben Zarate, the height of dumbness. And it doesn't instantly strike me as one I would pick out of a lineup. So he is the next in my list of the world's dumbest criminals because he crossed all the limits of insanity. Now this should be good. This robber, who was an 18-year-old at the time named Ruben Zarate, invaded a muffler shop located in Chicago. And there he demanded money by showing a gun to the staff. Now, can I ask people in America what the hell a muffler shop is? And if you tell me it's somewhere you can buy muffles, I'm still going to be equally confused. Okay? So yeah, a muffler shop. Don't have muffler shops in the UK, and if we do, we don't call them that. The staff got threatened, but there was a problem. They couldn't give more money to this robber, as the manager was not there. And all the money was in a safe lock, and only managers could open it. The brilliant robber left his phone number, so when the manager would come, the staff could call him. But it was bad because the staff first called the Chicago police and told the entire story of what happened. Wah, wah, wah. The robber thought it was a wise way to steal money the next time. But he had made this silly mistake. Police asked the staff to call the robber and tell him that the manager was back in the shop, and now you can come and threaten him for the money. The robber felt like it was heaven, and with all the bliss, he wanted the store where he saw the police officers waiting for him. Okay, he tried to run away, but there was a brief shootout, and the little robber got arrested. Now, this next one here looks like some dyslexic 17th letter of the alphabet supporter. Is he trying to say MAGA MAGA? I don't know. So his car stealing attempt failed by... oh, wow. I'm talking about like MAGA MAGA, and this dude is illiterate, which is not funny, folks. Not funny. But when it's on a story for the dumb criminals, can I laugh? We'll see what he done. He undoubtedly falls among these world's dumbest criminals, as he didn't choose the spot wisely. The man was planning on stealing a car, and it all went wrong when he found out US Marshals and state police detectives in the very car he was trying to steal. Man, oh man, he looks like a child. Dude, he didn't stealing cars. He should be playing with toy cars at home. So as you can guess, the next step, the thief was arrested. And this attempt was made in 2012. Okay, he's a man now. By an unprofessional robber to steal a car. And unfortunately, there were US Marshals and other force were present when the robber asked them to open the door of the car. Robber realized that this is not a normal car and there were detective signs on the car. Soon, he tried to run away. But wah, wah, wah. You guessed it, he was caught. So this one here, now, I like the look of this guy. He at the very least got dressed up for the role, right? Right? So it says here, a man attempted snatching a woman's purse, wetting the Spider-Man costume. So no one, right, it should really be wearing a Spider-Man costume, right? I don't think he went in to rob this woman's purse, and the first thing he done was wet himself. I don't think that was part of his MO. I don't. And I know I shouldn't correct the author of the article, but I'm guessing he meant he was wearing the costume, right? So after he got caught by the police, he said that the costume was used as a disguise. He's not just one of the world's dumbest criminals, but a piece of brown stuff who tried to make a robbery in the name of Spider-Man. Person who wrote this is obviously a big Spidey fan. How dare you? How dare you blacken the name of our arachnid friend? So, what did he do? At last, he was treated while making a steal. He was treated... 24-year-old lady. The robber was Daniel James Bradley. From the minute he was born, he was destined to be a criminal. Well, I told you about the triple barrel names in America before. And he was age 22 when he tried the robbery, when the lady just parked her car and this man walked towards her. See, that was his first mistake. He should have swung in. He should have got the webs out and just... No, I thought so. Bradley, the thief, came without some planning, as he was in the jacket he wore over his Spider-Man suit. But when the lady started screaming for help, he panicked. He worn out of his jacket. Okay, so he slipped his jacket off and he raced down in the Spider-Man suit, where he was easily spotted by the police. Dang, oh dang, oh dang. I wish I had read that story before I brought it to air, because I tell you, my reading's bad enough, and I still think this guy here, just for his mugshot alone, I think he might make it into our dumbest criminals. I do. I think so. But we'll see. We will see. So, before I go today, and I need to be really quick, one of our listeners told us about somewhere haunted. I've pulled up a link. I'll get it ready right now, and I'll be back with you in 30 seconds. Some dumb criminals in there though, right? Running Turtle asks me, do I think gender-neutral prisons are coming soon? Prisons over here, I've seen a few stories where you've got guys who are claiming to be identifying as women and they want to transition and they get put into women's jails. Oh, nothing to worry about there then, right? You know, criminals that have been locked up for being bad people anyway, and then they want to be in a place where there's lots of women where they can get at. Yeah, nothing can go wrong there, right? Running Turtle, nothing would surprise me. You're right, Jason, it is a clown world. Sidvich, see, I'm glad I can make people smile. If I do nothing else, if we can make people smile, we're all happy. It's the smiley happy safe zone. Get your finger paint. I'm losing the plot. I need a joint. And if anybody would like to support the stream, please feel free to hit the super chat, hit the PayPal, hit a membership. We need new members, folks. Come and join the memberships. We've got very, very budget deals on offer. Not just this week, but every week. So everyone can get a chance to be a member on the channel. And our next emoji, so far, in my book, I have got the hairy hands. The hairy hands could be the next one. And talking of hairy hands, let's go a little haunted for our last story of the day. And this is thanks to our friend in the chat room. No, I can't remember. No. Is it Vor? I can't remember. I'm so useless. I'm worse than the dumbest criminals. I'm the world's dumbest streamer. So here we're going to Loftus Hall. Now, I haven't heard of this one before, and I'm flying blind here. Flying blind. But if the amount of search results that came back are anything to go by, I'd imagine this is a place you wouldn't want to be spending the night. So Loftus Hall, they say it's the most haunted house in Ireland, has not revealed all of its secrets. So driving along the isolated road that runs down the scenic Hook Peninsula in Ireland's ancient east, it is easy to spot the mansion that has earned itself the reputation as the most haunted house in Ireland. Now, when I look at Ireland, that place, for me, it's just like Scotland. So like Scotland in the way that it's steeped not only in history, but with that rich history and mythology comes deep, deep woo. It's almost like a supernaturally charged paranormal portal type island. It really is. There's lots of stories from Ireland. And of course, you can go back to the time of the giants and things as well, and some of the mythology over there. Brilliant. And Var Don Guerro says that the devil himself has slept in that house. Oh, yes. And Kristen, I am watching my time. Thank you very much. Kristen, I appreciate you keeping me right. And Nana and all the other mods out there as well. I really, really do. But here it says, if ever a building fit for the stereotype of a home taunted or haunted by its bloody and tragic past, this was it. Right, wait, hey, hang on. You can't do these stories without... You know how I like to have that. Jennifer says the video is up. Feel free to share it on one of your streams later. Thank you very much, Jennifer. I'll certainly do that. Remember, folks, go and click on Jennifer's channel and sub to her channel. Some really, really good stuff on there. And thank you, Jennifer. If we don't look at it later on today, if I go live again, then I'll definitely be looking at that tomorrow. So then, it says, set against the backdrop of a rugged and windswept coastal setting, Loftus Hall looms over the surrounding landscape. Its historic walls have seen invasion, capture, plague, famine, and numerous personal tragedies, many of which live on as ghostly legends still told today. Look at that place. That just looks like it should be in a horror movie. The recorded history of Loftus Hall and the land upon which it sits stretches back some 800 years, but locals say the significance of the site goes back thousands of years and was once sacred to the Druids, the high-ranking professionals and religious class in ancient Celtic cultures. The story of Loftus Hall begins around 1170 AD when Raymond, or Redmond Fitzgerald, nicknamed Legros, or the Fat, landed in Baginbun Head in the Hook Peninsula in what is now County Wexford in Ireland. It's a famous site in Irish history, known as the place where Ireland was lost and won. Now, Raymond was among the first of a small band of Norman knights who played an active role in helping enforce Norman rule over Ireland. He acquired land in the area, upon which he built a castle known as Houseland Castle. Now, over the years, it fell into disrepair, and in 1350, descendants of Raymond le Gros built a new castle called the Hall, or Redmond Hall. Now, the Hall remained with the Redmond family until the mid-1600s when the Irish Confederate Wars saw the castle repeatedly attacked and eventually seized as part of the Cromwellian confiscations. In one remarkable display of defence on July the 20th, 1642, Alexander Redmond, who was 68 at the time, managed to protect the hall from around 90 English invaders with just the help of his two sons, some tenants, two soldiers, and a tailor. Now, how on earth do you do that against 90 soldiers? Even back in the 1600s, folks. Did he have something supernatural at his back? Just saying. They staved off several more attacks, after which Alexander Redmond received favourable terms from Cromwell himself. Now, upon his death in 1651, Redmond's family were evicted from the hall and their home put up for auction. Oh, look at this. In 1666, Henry Loftus, originally from Yorkshire, England, acquired the confiscated lands, and the mansion was then renamed Loftus Hall. So Loftus Hall rebuilt. Over the decades and centuries that followed, the Loftus family rose in the peerage, producing barons, viscounts, earls, marquises, and as they climbed the ladder of aristocracy, the illustrious family hoped that they would entice Queen Victoria to visit. With that goal in mind, John Henry Loftus, the fourth Marquis of Ely, or Ely, embarked on an enormous renovation of the hall between 1870 and 1879 to make it grander than ever before and to remove all the urinals just in case it offended somebody. I'm only joking. Although it was widely reported that Loftus Hall was completely demolished and rebuilt, there is evidence that much of the former hall was utilised and worked into the mansion that can be seen there today. No expense was spared in the renovation of Loftus Hall. Erected as a 3-storey mansion with a balustrated parapet, the hall boasts an ornate mosaic floor and a spectacular grand staircase, hand-carved by Italian craftsmen. Now, the house certainly was fit for a queen, but Queen Victoria never arrived, causing deep disappointment to the Loftus family. Insanity, death, and tragedy plagued the historic hall. Now, while its rich and colourful past is enough to bring history buffs flocking, which I was thinking some history in this place aside from the woo, it is the legends, the unexplained mysteries, and the tales of ghostly apparitions that have made Loftus Hall one of the most visited mansions in the whole of Ireland. The legends stem from the real life and death of Anne Tottingham. Now, in the mid-1600s, Charles Tottingham married the Honourable Anne Loftus, daughter of the first Viscount Loftus, and they had 6 children, 4 boys and 2 girls named Elizabeth and Anne. But his wife became ill and died while the girls were still young. 2 years later, Tottenham married his cousin Jane Cliff, and they lived together along with Anne in Loftus Hall. Now, one night, amid a powerful storm, a ship arrived at the Hook Peninsula. and a young man made his way to Loftus Hall, asking if he could take shelter there. It was not uncommon for strangers to come knocking, as the rough waters around the South Wexford coast often resulted in ships being grounded on the shore or even shattered by rocks. The man was invited in and ended up residing at the house for several weeks. Now, during this time, Anne, now a young woman, fell in love with the stranger and spent countless hours socialising with him in the tapestry room. Now, according to some local legends, one evening Anne was playing cards with the stranger as well as other guests. When she leaned under the table to collect a card, she had dropped and noticed that the stranger had cloven hoofs. She screamed loudly, causing the stranger to expose himself as the devil. Now he transformed into a ball of fire and shot right up through the roof, leaving Anne in a state of trauma from which she never recovered. Anne's mental state deteriorated rapidly, and the family, embarrassed by her behaviour, confined her to a room in the house where she remained until her death in around 1775. It is said from that time onwards, Loftus Hall became plagued by severe poltergeist activity, and troubled Anne never able to rest in peace. And I'm telling you right now, I have got the heebie-jeebies. I have got the willies, as we say over here. My hairs are standing on end only because of this part here. Notice the stranger had the cloven hoofs. Now, I've shared the story from the village where I was brought up, Fort Augustus, many, many times. And it was a dance that was on one night back in the 50s, around that time. Maybe even earlier, 40s, I don't know. Around the time of the war anyway. And there was this tall, dark, handsome stranger that all the women wanted to dance with. And with it being a dance hall, the lights were turned down low, the atmosphere was nice and relaxed. And then at the end of the night, the girl who had been lucky enough to catch the eye of this young, tall, dark and handsome stranger, all dressed up in the kilt and looking lovely. The only problem was when the lights went on underneath that kilt, it was no ordinary hairy legs. And in fact, it was cloven hooves for feet. Make of that what you will. Several Protestant clergymen were summoned by the family to put a stop to it, but none could rid the house of its evil forces. Now, in their desperation, the family, themselves Protestant, called upon a Catholic priest who was a tenant on their estate, Father Thomas Broders, who was successful in cleansing the house of negative forces. Now, it is popularly reported that his gravestone contains the inscription, "Here lies the body of Thomas Broders, who did good and prayed for all, and who banished the devil from Loftus Hall." There is no evidence that this inscription ever existed. So there's the tapestry room where they were playing the cards. Just imagine that, folks. Imagine that. Back in the day, candles burning, few drinks flowing, drop your card, you look under the table, and this young man that you ladies were thinking was the be-all and end-all was no man at all. It was Beelzebub himself. It looks haunted. Look at it. I wouldn't catch me staying in there. So, unraveling the legend. It is fair to say that many of the details of this account are likely to be a little more than fictional folk tales. Nevertheless, reports going back over a century say that Anne was indeed confined to a room in Loftus Hall until her death. So what really happened to her? It is most likely that the account of the cloven hoof and the devil shooting through the roof was made up by the Loftus family to deter beggars and other strangers from paying a visit to the hall. After all, they were desperately hoping to entice Queen Victoria for a visit, so the last thing they needed was undesirables getting in the way. This then raises the question as to whether Anne really was confined due to mental illness, or whether there was another reason for this tragic ending to her life. According to one alternative account, The stranger had fallen in love with Anne and had asked Charles Tottenham for her hand in marriage, but was refused permission. He was turned away from the house, leaving Anne heartbroken. But there is another twist in the story. During the restoration of Loftus Hall, the skeletal remains of a tiny infant were found between the walls in what is believed to have been the room that Anne had been locked up in. Did Anne fall pregnant with the stranger, casting shame upon her family? This could have provided a motive for her father to lock her away, never to be seen again. And one local account suggests that Anne died during childbirth after her father refused to let anyone know of her pregnancy, including even the local doctor, and she suffered complications leading to her death. Now, today, Anne Tottenham's grave is located in a local graveyard in Wexford, but something is very peculiar about it. Unlike the surrounding graves, it's completely cemented over. The people that buried her clearly wanted to ensure no one could ever access her body. What dark secrets did Anne take with her to the grave? Metaphorically, Loftus Hall is indeed haunted by its dark and troubled history. One can almost feel the sadness and traumas that have taken place within its walls. But does the ghost of Anne still roam the cold and empty rooms of the mansion as it stands today? Many are convinced yes. Indeed, American ghost hunters carried out detailed investigations of the house and claimed to have detected numerous anomalies. Look at that there, that's quite creepy. But in 2014, that Loftus Hall cemented in its reputation as the most haunted house in Ireland when a visitor taking a tour believed that he had captured a haunting image on his camera. It subsequently went viral, attracting the attention of people from all around the world. 21 years old Thomas Beavis said that he was browsing through the photos on his camera when he noticed the ghostly figures of a young woman and an older woman in the window. That does look quite weird. It does also look like old clothing, right? Old kind of dress type thing. So Loftus Hall today, in the early 20th century, the Loftus family went bankrupt following the deaths of the last member of the Loftus family, and it was taken over by the Benedictines, who occupied it until 1935. In 1937, the Sisters of Providence converted it into a convent and a school for young girls wanting to join the order. Now, locals say that people were terrified to attend Mass in its chapel, given the well-circulated legends of the devil himself having visited the hall. And in 1983, Loftus Hall was purchased by Michael Devereux, who opened it as Loftus Hall Hotel. Michael died in the hall, and his wife struggled for several years trying to run the motel on her own, until one night she took off without any explanation, leaving everything behind. Loftus Hall then entered another dark period. The property was left vacant, but was occupied illicitly for nearly a decade by people conducting satanic rituals and meetings. You see, that there, even if there wasn't, and I'm not saying there wasn't, but even if there wasn't some haunting, some weirdness to this place, when you've got like a 10-year long period of people going in there and carrying out these types of rituals, then you're getting messed up in some bad juju, folks. And don't be surprised if that was what opened some kind of portal. But again, I've got no reason to discount that woman's account back in the day. And I get it, there could be numerous reasons. But this story, this theme, this thing where we have people over time, different geographical locations, all reporting this similar thing. Half man, half goat. It's weird. So in 2011, it was purchased by its current owners, the Quigley family, who have embarked on an ambitious project of restoration. Today, Loftus Hall is open to the public, who can join a 45-minute guided tour that showcases the history of the hall and its many legends. So leaving the hall after one of these tours, one is left with more questions than answers. fact and fiction have become so closely entwined in the history of Loftus Hall that it's impossible to determine where history ends and legend begins. So that was a really, really cool story. I will be checking out more about Loftus Hall. I think that sounds fascinating. I've probably gone way, 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 way over my time today, folks. I need to go and get ready for another show now. I'll see what a few of you good people in the chat room are saying out there about all of this. Let me scroll up a bit. She saw the cloven hoofs and became racist. Yes, she done. She did. Was that thunder on Kev's side? Yes, that's my that's my sound effects. And from time to time, I forget that the sound effects are on, and you'll literally see me jumping when the lightning strikes. I think it's funny. Okay, maybe you had to be here. I don't know. So she saw just one clove. Stimulate. Come on now. Come on now. Behave. I'm only joking. No need to behave here. Man, that story about the portal the guy stumbled backwards out of with his black hairy hands keeps playing over in my head. I spent a lot of time in the woods and by rivers and by water solo. Yeah, that was a weird story, dude. Vardon Guero, I appreciate the fact that you gave me the story. I knew nothing about this place, man. I think that's really cool. Let's see what else is happening in there. Let's see, Nano. Oh, I love them all the same. Boys were work too, just different. Yeah, boys are easier. Boys are definitely easier. I've probably got the context of that conversation all wrong, but hey. So, Michelle says, this mama does not like the woo, but I'm still freaked out by shadow people. Crazy. Shadow people, yeah. And I tell you what's going on around Scott's family right now, that actually worries me. And I know I like to have a laugh and a joke, but I said to Scott, I said, seriously, Scott, if you want to get me to get Bill Bean involved here, I'll quite happily do that. Because it sounds to me like Scott's house is on some kind of portal or something. And isn't Scott like the most, or the least kind of sensational guy that we know? You know, not that any of us are questioning the veracity of these stories, but it's just, I mean, for Scott to be telling us this is happening, I don't know, I hope he gets it sorted soon. So Vardon Guero says the local legend states that the devil got Anne pregnant. The family knew about her pregnancy, so confined her in the mansion, and the family therefore buried the infant in the walls. Yep, I can imagine that probably is a very common way that this story is looked at. And the woo side of me wants to go that way, definitely. I definitely think Anne got pregnant by this stranger. Whether he was the devil or not, the woo inside me makes me want to think or hope that he was. But either way, it could be a way the story, the family, should I say, were trying to maybe spin a bit of a story to protect the reputation of their daughter. I don't know. It doesn't feel like that. It feels haunted to me. Big time. So, folks, I'm basically out of time. I apologise for the late start today. Hopefully I've made up for it by staying a little bit longer than I usually do. Hopefully. But I'll be back tonight, and I'm not sure what's going to be happening. I'll be letting people over in the Discord server know what's going to be occurring. I'll be telling people on Twitter and on Facebook as well. And we might be live here later, but if not, join me on tfrlive.com. There it is, folks. There's the Kev Baker page over there. Yes, I need to go and fill out the description for last night's show. My bad, I haven't done it yet. That reminds me. So, folks, let me thank you all again for taking the time out to come and join me here today. For taking time out to sit down, chill out, and relax in the safe space. I can tell you categorically right now for a fact, I'm never going to be able to save the world. I probably, definitely, most likely will never even break any news of my own. But I think that what you see, what you get, approach of what we do here on KBS, whether it's me, whether it's myself and Scott, whether we have Joe come along or any of the guests I bring in as well, I think we all just enjoy and appreciate the information that we can share that in some way might help us make sense of this crazy world, but in other ways, I think we just highlight the fact that this is a crazy world, and in many ways, how can the mind of the sane person, i.e., all of you out there, come to terms with and really get to grips with a world that is becoming ever more increasingly insane? I tell you, it's almost as if we're from a different timeline, a different page in this book called The Multiverse. I don't think we come from here, because when I look at the majority of the people outside this safe space, there's something far, far wrong. So until tomorrow, folks, I'm going to love you. I'm going to leave you. Keep your minds open. Keep looking for all of the information that may, just may, lead you to some variation of the truth that you seek. But remember, don't let your brain turn to black goo, because that is a horrible habit of smelling like poo. We're out of here, folks. No, we don't want that music, Kev. We don't want scary music on the way out the door. What's that all about? Thank you all so much for coming along today. Remember, you can come along tomorrow as well for another safe space, or catch me later on tfrlive.com. And you can become a member of the channel. Just click the join button down below, and you too can have fun with AOC, Popeye, the Sasquatch, the gay frog that is Alex Jones, and so many, many more, including the personal favourite, the traffic cone. Until next time, folks, keep it real, keep it cone, and I'm out of here.